I will call to order this regular meeting of the Cape Coral Charter School Governing Board, Thursday, January 12th, 2017. Please join me and stand for a moment of silence. And the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. And now the roll call, please.
Boyer. Cosden.
Here.
Donaldson is excused. Fisher.
Here.
Jackson is excused. Lucas Ross is excused. McMillan. Here. Ms. Traeger is excused. Winstead. Here. Zivkovic.
Here.
We do have a quorum. Next item is approval of minutes from the December 13th, 2016 regular meeting. We did have a request to amend the minutes. I'm just going to pull them out here. Under public comment, the first speaker was Brandon Pearson, and he emailed us last night and asked that we add one sentence. And I did watch the video, and it does make sense to add the sentence. I don't think that it was a on purpose oversight. Well, I think it was an oversight, and I don't think it was on purpose. The sentence would be, just before the last sentence, it would say, he proceeds to state that if this body can do what is best for the students, then maybe he can graduate from the system he grew up in. And that is essentially verbatim what he said in the video. So if we're okay with adding that, we need a motion and a second.
Motion. I'll
Okay.
second.
Winstead and Vukovic. Does that need a roll call, or can we just do an aye?
And I.
Okay, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, so with that addition, the minutes are approved. I'm sorry.
I had a second amendment.
I apologize. I'm so sorry. Okay, so that motion was to add that sentence, I suspect, and then go ahead with yours.
I apologize.
That's
I thought
okay.
it was, sure this is on. Under the minutes, under Victoria Bateman, I would ask that she indicated she had emails, and I would like the record to reflect that she did indicate there were emails and that there was a public records request made on the record in regards to those emails. I don't know if that can be approved at this moment or later on.
We can add that in, but we would need to indicate where exactly in the minutes you want that added.
There's, when that came up during the discussion held after, right?
Was that?
Yes, and the discussion is not really memorialized in the minutes. I'm sorry, I didn't see your light was on. I'm sorry. We can add that somehow, but that might need to be something that we discuss offline because it happened in the discussion.
Why?
Well, none of the discussion is outlined, so we would need to get the whole discussion basically added to the minutes in that case, rather than just adding one snippet from the minutes. I'm sorry, from the discussion.
I guess I'm not sure why we'd have to have the whole discussion. I mean, that request for emails was pertinent. The rest of this, I mean,
Okay, that
How
fair.
would we how would we document that?
The public records request. Okay,
that's a pretty concise statement.
that's fine. It was just a public records request. Is that your motion?
Yes, and sorry for any.
So we would add that under discussion held and board member Fisher, public records request?
Yes.
Okay. Does that make sense, Ms. Arthur? Okay. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Mr. Bustry, does that, those two motions and votes, are they good to approve the minutes, or do we need a third motion and vote to approve the actual minutes?
I can tell you third.
Okay. A move to approve the minutes as amended. So one, Fisher,
Motion to approve.
Winstead. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we're getting through this. Motion passes. Next is approval of the agenda, and we also have several changes here. So, we have a couple field trips to add. You all have them in front of you. We have, 7C, which is the field trip to Legoland. You have that documentation in front of you. And 7D, which is the field trip that Mrs. Treese gave us this morning. It's a field trip to Ringling. Right now, we're just making a motion to add them to the agenda. And then we also have 13D, which is approval to purchase Chromebooks. And again, we'll discuss that when we come to it. This is just to add it.
Motion to approve?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The agenda is approved with these additions. Next on the agenda is Mr. Fisher.
I had a motion to amend the agenda.
Okay, well, I'm so sorry.
My
Yes, Mr.
My
Fisher?
apologies. Under, I'm guessing, section 13, and I apologize, I thought this was going to be on the agenda, but I'd like to make a motion to have a brief discussion on the future of the superintendent, the contract in regards to deciding at least initial discussions if we're going to go forward with renewal with the contract, at least to start that discussion since it's up in June, and I believe it's timely.
Yep. Actually, made myself a little note here to bring that up during my report. Probably should have put it on the agenda. I apologize, but
I'd request that motion then.
let's add that to the agenda as item 13E. Motion by Mr. Fisher. Do we have a second by Winstead? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay,
Thank you, and my apologies.
my apologies too. Okay, and now we will go to public comment, limited to 3 minutes per individual with a 45-minute limit. Do we have anyone for public comment?
Good morning, Governing Board members. My name is Brandon Pearson, and I'm happy to say I'm still a student at Oasis High School. Last month, I spoke regarding several concerns that will hopefully be addressed here today. I would like to highlight that this past Monday, I did speak at the City Council meeting where I clarified that our concerns are not with education, but instead conduct, policy, and procedure. After several requests, I have obtained a copy of the Neola policies and would like to highlight several concerns this morning. The first set of concerns are with Neola Policy 2260 regarding non-discrimination. In this policy, it lists Mr. Keith Graham as a compliance officer for our system and requires that this information be displayed on the authority website. However, at this time, the information regarding our compliance officer is not published on the authority website and has caused many of the concerns of teachers, parents, and students to become public knowledge this past year. In addition, the same policy stipulates when a complaint regarding discrimination or retaliation is reported to a board member, superintendent, or principal, it should be reported to the compliance officer within 2 school days of being received. I'm asking here today with the concerns I sent last month via email to this board and several administrators forward to Mr. Graham within that time period. Last month, my mother asked for assistance with enforcement of my domestic violence injunction while on school premises. I would like to highlight Neola Policy 7217 that allows the superintendent to take necessary steps to exclude a person that made threats of violence to a student from system property. The courts have ultimately deemed Mr. Kenneth Pearson a threat to my safety, and I know some people believe that the concerns of one doesn't outweigh the majority. However, this is my safety that we're talking about, and I'm asking for action to be taken. Next, I would like to address my removal as battalion commander. One of the reasons that I was given was that my mother, the mayor of Cape Coral, and I publicly stated I was being withdrawn. However, if I recall correctly, I was begging with this council to help facilitate change to allow me to stay. While things haven't happened yet, I have great faith that the system will work itself out and what is broken shall be restored. However, if I was being withdrawn, Neola does have policy 5130 that states before a student should be withdrawn, an exit interview should be conducted and survey taken. In addition, the policy is designed to retain students by asking students a simple question: how can they be kept in the system? At no time was this policy adhered to. In addition, the Lee County School Board prohibits seniors transferring schools after the first quarter by their own policies. Thus, this reason and argument is invalid. Finally, I would like to address FERPA, which is a federal law protecting the confidentiality of students. It is addressed in Neola Policy 8330 and protects many aspects of a student's record by preventing release to unauthorized parties. A technical guide published by the Florida Department of Education does state that this board falls under FERPA policy, as well as all administrators, teachers, and support staff as authorized personnel. I'd ask that the governing board reiterate FERPA and this policy to its administration, especially in regards to social media. This brings my remarks to a close. While I do respect that some of you are new to this board and did not participate in the original adoption of Neola, I do urge this board and each member, as well as the administration, to study the Neola policies in depth, because it is what is best for the students. If I remember correctly, it is all about the kids, correct? It's all about the kids? Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else for public comment? Okay. Public comment is closed. Go ahead, Mr. Zivkovic.
I just want to, I know we don't want to generally comment on public comment or get into a tit for tat, but I just want to remember, we've discussed this, we've discussed the safety issue, and I have, I'm sure other board members as well, with both the principal and the superintendent. At no time did we feel that our administration put any student in danger. I think they took appropriate actions and steps that day when somebody was on campus. It was a new and unusual situation, and I think they did everything they could to make sure our students were safe.
Anyone else wish to comment? I do have a few comments, but I just wanted to let anyone else speak who, okay. I know we don't want to do the tit for tat thing, but I do want to ask a few questions and clarify while we're all here and we have Mr. Buzztree here, because we won't have him here for much longer. The comments about the compliance officer not being listed on the website, is a link to Neola appropriate? There's a link to Neola on the website. Is that?
I think that would be appropriate because certainly Neola does, I think it's 2260,
Yep.
in Neola does show there's a compliance officer. I mean, could it be a separate provision? Well, if the board wishes it to be a little separate, saying that if anyone has, the compliance officers, Mr. Keith Graham, if they have any complaints of discrimination or retaliation or the like, they should report it to Mr. Graham. That could be done if the board wishes, but I think legally the fact that there is a Neola link to Neola on the current parent and charter school website is sufficient.
Okay, and what about the comments that we must forward these complaints to Mr. Graham? Wouldn't it have to be a clear complaint?
Well, Mr. Graham received the complaint, and I think Mr. Graham, I just spoke with Mr. Graham this morning, and he has notified the complainant that, yes, we're in receipt of it, and that we will need to take time to investigate it. And
Okay.
the city attorney's office is meeting with the appropriate city staff to begin the investigation. These investigations, because they should be fair and thorough, will take some time. We may need to review documents, interview witnesses, obtain statements from witnesses, and compare. So we'll take a little time, but we are in the process of beginning that process to investigate.
Okay, good. And when it comes to the issue of exit interviews for students that have withdrawn, I just want to comment, that's for students who have actually withdrawn, not students who have said they're going to withdraw and didn't actually withdraw. So I'm sure that's why there was no exit interview. But yes, the goal is to keep students in our system. When it comes to the FERPA and the email issue, it's my understanding that once an email goes to a city council member, it becomes public record unless it contains personal information. Is that correct?
Yes, but FERPA is a federal law which would supersede state statute. Generally, if the information is confidential and is given to a council member, it retains its confidentiality, unlike in most other situations. So if it pertains to student records, and by the way, there is an Attorney General opinion engendered by the School District of Lee County that the district school board members, and I think you're equivalent to district school board members, can look at student files. Normally, those are off limits to everyone except the student and the faculty, basically, by school board members, not because you want to peruse and have idle curiosity, but because as part of your duties, you have a right to look at student records and all the information contained in them. However, you have an obligation, a legal obligation, and an ethical obligation to maintain the confidentiality of those records. So if a student or someone sends you information regarding a student that's protected by FERPA, it's not a public record.
Okay,
Other parts may be, but that particular information about the student is not a public record. You have to maintain the confidentiality of that information.
what constitutes a student record, though? That's my question. An email from a student,
An email from a student would generally not, usually a student record would be pertaining to maybe a student's, anything grades,
Discipline.
transcripts, discipline, academic progress, anything else, Mr. Stevenson?
Guidance notes.
Guidance notes, things like that.
okay, okay. So I think this is probably, the issue that we're talking about is probably a little bit of a gray area, it seems, because it was an email from a student about his records. So, okay, I just wanted to get some clarity on that. Thank you. I think that's all that I have. We have Mr. Winstead.
Yeah, I'm just dovetailing on what you were saying there. I think that it's important for guidance in reference to general statements that are made by a student versus specific personal records and, or preferences or desires. I think it's difficult, especially when they're communicated in a quote public format, whereas our emails are public formats under the law, where they're communicated generally information that is regarding the subject, a bigger subject, and not necessarily grade issues and those things. How do we discern where this goes off into public, to a personal situation for a student versus that? Does it need to be identified? Do we just guess at it? Is there some type of discernment that, what would your guidance be when we receive an email that is in that category?
Well, sometimes it's very difficult, and you might want to consult, I hate to say this all the time, you might want to consult the attorney. Generally, if it's of a general concern, for example, if a student complained that the charter school doesn't offer enough math classes, that's not a student, it's not personal to the student. I think you have to look at whether it's personal to the student, contains student personal information regarding grades, transcripts, disciplinary action. That wouldn't be personal, that's a general concern. If you have a general complaint perhaps about the school system, that probably wouldn't be. I mean, it's really hard to say. I mean, I guess the dividing line would be whether it's the email contains personal information concerning to the student's academics, such as his grades, his transcripts, his disciplinary action. If he protested a disciplinary action, that would, since it's personal to the student, that would not be a public record. But if he questions the school's disciplinary action in general, that, well, the student shouldn't suspend, the school shouldn't suspend students caught smoking on the school grounds or something, that's general, not personal to the student. And as I say, in doubt, and it's very difficult even for attorneys sometimes to make these decisions, you could consult.
So you're saying basically it's a case-by-case basis?
It's a case-by-case basis,
You use
yes.
your best judgment in the scenario and, just do it in good faith, whatever you're doing.
Yes,
Okay, thank you.
that's the best I could tell you right now.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay. Moving on to the consent agenda. We have 7A, B, C, D, and E now. And we can approve them all with one motion, which I love about the consent agenda. So we need a motion to approve.
Second?
Okay. Roll call? Do we need a roll call, or do we need, go ahead, Mr. Bustry.
Yeah, I would just mention that generally on the consent agenda item, you don't have to do this. You generally sometimes ask the board member if they want to pull one. Sometimes they want to pull one, and then you can approve the rest of them and just discuss the one that's been pulled by a board member.
Does anybody wish to pull an item? You can always do that with the consent agenda, if you want to pull one to talk about it. No? Okay. So we have a motion and a second. Can you call the roll, please?
Boyer,
Yes.
Cosden,
Aye.
Fisher,
Yes.
Winstead, Zivkovic.
Yes.
Motion passes. Thank you. All right, next is item 8, superintendent report.
Good morning. Welcome back after the nice holiday. I hope everybody had a nice, relaxing one. I just wanted to start off by saying 2 thank yous to people that I've had meetings with here as of late. I want to thank Shannon Arthur. Shannon Arthur has done above and beyond what needs to be done. This week where we were all on holiday for the week before school started, she came in a couple of days, worked, and has refused my repeated request for her to take time off on the other side to meet that because her workload is so great. So I just wanted to publicly thank her. I know she doesn't like those kind of things, but it is part of what people do in the charter school system. And so I just want to thank her for her diligence and hard work and coming early and doing those things and staying late many nights. She stays way later than what's necessary in terms of the pay that she gets for doing that. So just wanted to thank. And then I also wanted to thank, because I think it's a great day to think about all the things that are good in our system, I want to thank our administrative team. We had a principals meeting yesterday, and normally in principals meetings you start to look at the clock after a couple hours and start wondering, are we done yet, and where we got things to do. And I just wanted to thank the team, because I was thinking when we were in the room, we have over 50 years of experience in administration sitting in that room. And we have a team that feels like we're working together and we're firing on all cylinders. And it was a great conversation. And I think the time for our normal meeting came and went. And I didn't see anybody looking at their watch. I didn't see anybody getting the calls of, hey, get me out of here, please. So it was, I just want to thank you all for that, because they are long, but there's a lot of information. And so it just reminded me yesterday of what a great opportunity we have. And again, having this years of experience sitting there where people are working together and trying to figure out the best path for our system. Again, it's just a big thank you for both of those. I also wanted to thank a teacher, Mr. Adam Prowitz. As you all know, we have to do teacher evaluations. That's all part of what we do. And in our system, as you know, we often do things with less. And software to do walkthroughs or to do evaluations is very expensive. So in other words, if we want to buy a package program that we do our evaluations of our teachers, our instructional staff, and then how do we get that to them? Well, it's been paper for a long time, and Mr. Adam Prowitz has taken the time and the energy, he's at the high school, to basically take our online forms and put them into a computer program or a software program, which allows our administrators to basically go in, do their evaluation, and then guess what? They push a button, it actually is emailed to the actual instructor. So they get real-time, real-world, quick response back to what's happening in the classroom. That's a big deal. It's saved us thousands and thousands of dollars. And I want to thank Ms. Treese for working with Adam to get that done. It's a big project. It's not something that's small. He has to add all the teachers in, you can just imagine the programming and things like that. So I just want to thank, again, that's just saved our system a lot of money. And so that's by the willingness of people to do things outside their normal assigned tasks. So again, a big thank you for that. The Martin Luther King Day Unity event, I sent an email out last night on Monday from 8:30 to 9:30. There will be a Martin Luther King Day Unity event. It'll be, I believe, the 3rd or 4th annual. We're pretty excited about it. We've invited media. We have a keynote speaker that we're excited about, the Cape Coral Foundation new executive director. So we're looking forward to hearing from him. And we're going to have some students speak. We're going to have refreshments afterwards, and we'll do a nice unity walk at the end. So it's a really great event. It's at Oasis High School on Monday from 8:30 to 9:30. My suggestion is to get there a little bit early. Last year, I think, tripled the crowd that they had previously. So, we anticipate 300-400 people to show up at least. So, again, a great event to please make sure you mark your calendars for that. And then we're talking about, earlier we've always been talking about making sure that our staff are up on the latest technology and getting training and how that's so important for our system. There's going to be some of us going to the FETC, which is the Future Education Technology Conference. I used to think that it was the Florida Education because it's always held in Orlando, but it's the Future Education Technology Conference. It's in a week and a half or 2 weeks. We're going not only to go to see what the newest technology is, but there's a lot of side demonstrations and discussions that occur that are really helpful to keep us in tune with what's the best. It's a couple of days. I think some of us are just going for a day, maybe 2 days. So it's not a real long conference. But we're also going to support Mr. Grable from Grable Services. He's also one of our parents who's been willing to try to help us out, and this goes back to the software that we have, the internal software needs that we have, and so his company's been working diligently on that, and that also is a huge savings to our system. So he's going to actually be a vendor up there, so we're going to go kind of support and help him in that endeavor as well. So a lot of great things happening. Those all align back to also looking at the strategic plan and things that we've talked about before when we talk about professional development and things like that. So at this time, and I was going to mention the compliance officer and the issue there, but that's already been mentioned so that you know we're responding to that as is. And at that point, I'm going to reserve some comments for the strategic plan in Neola that'll be upcoming in a minute. So at that point, that's my report. Are there any questions?
All right, thank you.
Okay, thanks.
All right, next is item 9, chair report. I attended Winterfest, is that what it's called, Winter Festival? It was beautiful, and I think, I hope it becomes an annual thing. It was really good to see all the families and kids, they were happy. I know at least 2 other board members were there too, so thank you, Mr. Stevenson and administration, you did a great job. And also, I want to echo your thanks to Shannon. She does a great job. She wears many hats, and she wears them all very well. That's all I have. I think we'll probably get into more discussion about some of the things I want to talk about a little bit later in the agenda. Next is foundation report. Do we have anyone here for that? Nelson.
She's not going to be able to attend. However, I do want to just tell you that the rally is ongoing. They're working. The foundation is helping and working in that way. Chris Porter has also been amazing in trying to get as much resources tied in. We are still going, and our administrators are going to those foundation meetings. We're still on the bent, and the foundation is on the bent that they're looking at more of the mini grants or micro grants for classrooms. So their focus has shifted more to less development of field and things like that to more of the instructional side. And the foundation is looking at ways, and they're doing that through GoFundMe and some other ways, but they're basically trying to match dollars, but they're doing it, and I'm excited about it because it's where I think the energy and efforts need to be. So the foundation will be supporting the teachers in terms of some sort of type of grants, whether that's a small dollar amount, a larger dollar amount, that's going to still be up to them, but they've shifted their focus, and that's been agreed to by everybody that was there. So. And we've got good turnout for those meetings too, by the way. So.
1 second, you sort of stepped in it by reminding me about the field. Where do we stand on the irrigation?
At this point, we have collected money, and that's the extent of where we are. There's no further update on the field at this time. I mean, I'm working with permitting, but Paul was getting some quotes for that, and I'm not sure where Paul is. I haven't talked to him about the field over the break.
We've been stuck there for that same spot for a while now.
Yeah.
And we're in the dry season. We're in January.
Absolutely.
So what is the plan to get things moving?
While we'll get with Paul. Paul's been, we've had a lot on our plate as usual, but I will certainly get with Paul and make sure that becomes a focus as we move forward.
Does Paul need help with it?
No, it's not even as much Paul as the quotes. It's also, we have a boosters organization, and the boosters organization I think is going through figuring out exactly how we want to move forward, whether it's going to be funded by all the boosters, how they're going to do it. There's been some talk about above ground irrigation, and I know at the last booster meeting, I'm not sure if there was a vote taken or not, but at some point, that's piece of it because we're trying to get this be a booster organization thing, not as much as school driven.
But it is a school asset that we spent funds on that we want to make sure we maintain. So I understand the booster club's new, and if they're struggling with coming up with some decisions, we need to provide some direction there.
Well, and I have an answer. I mean, my answer has been given already to the boosters, which is we just move forward. There's the 2 options we've got, and so I will work with it and we'll coordinate. I'll get with Mr. Montag and make sure that that's an absolute priority. So sometimes we have to shift hats. So I agree.
Okay, thank you. Thanks. Item 11 is staff comment. First, we have Mary Ann Moniz. Yeah. We're moving quickly today.
Good morning, Mary Ann Moniz, Business Manager. Just a couple of things to report this morning. Minimum wage has increased January 1st, 2017. It went from $8.05 to $8.10. I don't anticipate a drastic impact on that for us. We have 11 people who would be affected, and it's primarily our substitute folks. Okay. Postage increase, we are expecting a postage increase January 22nd. That will go into effect, and it'll go from 47 cents to 49 cents. However, if you're metered, you actually get a discount, and it'll go to 46 cents. So we anticipate a slight savings there. The IT infrastructure project has been officially completed. That's the one that they started over the summer months, and it did come in approximately $10,800 less than anticipated. Since we had that fiber work that was done over the summer and the invoice was supposed to be paid against last year's budget, but it wasn't completed until this fiscal year, what we'd like to do is, or what we plan on doing, is taking that $10,800 savings and applying it toward that expense to offset that cost, because that would be a cost that we would have to either put on the budget amendment or try to make up. So that'll help make up that cost. On another note, enrollment, the third survey results did come in, and we are still 66 students off on our initial enrollment that we budgeted for. So we will need to make a budget amendment adjustment on that. At the principals meeting yesterday, we did speak, and we'll be meeting as a group to kind of talk about the areas that they feel that we could possibly make reductions before we pursue having to use reserves to make up that money. So we will meet, and I'll bring that back forward next meeting. We do have some slight things that have happened on the building maintenance side. As you may be aware of some of these, because I did bring them forward last month, but we had a compressor at the Oasis Elementary School fail on their AC unit. That was an unanticipated cost of about $7,000. We had the Oasis High School water leak. We've accumulated the costs associated with that. That came in at about $6,000. And up until recently, we have had a radiator at the Krista generator fail, and we've gotten a price on that a little close to $5,000. And up until yesterday, we've had a water heater fail at Krista, and that's about $4,000. So we're trying to make up those costs as we go along. I feel confident that we'll be okay, because some of those items had been budgeted.
Mr. Bestry?
Yes, I was wondering, Marianne, would insurance cover the water leak? Are we getting reimbursement?
We have when we changed our insurance plan with the city, when risk management went out, our initial deductible was $2,500, and it was increased to $25,000, so it wouldn't meet that deductible criteria.
Go ahead.
That's a good question, Mr. Busher. I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
This is we had that flood too, and I asked about the insurance and our deductible being that high. When we changed our deductible, how much are we saving per year?
It was well over $200,000.
Okay.
So
all right. So it still makes sense to
we're
have
still
it.
in a
Okay.
good position.
Thank you. I have another question for Ms. Milinas. Any progress on our asset list for the reserves?
The asset lists are due back on the 14th. I received Krista McAuliffe's yesterday. I haven't officially, because what happens is they come back in and then I consolidate and make a master file. Okay. So I'm waiting for the remainder areas to submit theirs on the 14th. From what I've seen, I'm pleased to report that there are a lot of items that have been identified in that report that we haven't had in the past. So it's definitely, we are starting to identify items that we need to. So as soon as I get that master file compiled, I will be more than happy to send it along to you. It wouldn't be final until the budget's final, but at least you'll be able to see what items are out there.
Well, yeah, the idea is to see what we have out there so we can determine what we need to budget for.
Absolutely.
So we want that prior to the budget plan.
Yep, absolutely. Yep.
Thank you.
And the last item I have to report is the investment policy. As you know, the investment policy was revised at our last governing board meeting. And we were asked, or actually the city had gone out and they have opened an account, or are in the process of opening an account with Bank United. Right now, we use Fifth Third Bank, and Fifth Third has some pretty significant charges that they're charging us. And with this Bank United, there are no monthly charges associated with that. So we have made they made the recommendation, we took a look at it, and we agreed that we would like to just move some money around. But the dollars that we do move around in our portfolio will now be in accordance with that investment plan, so we'll be safe. We're just waiting for them to go ahead and set up that new bank account.
Go ahead, Rob.
Sorry, me again. It was alleged at the last meeting that we're missing out on these great savings with this. When I read the emails that I saw from the bank, it was undetermined what the interest rate was really going to be. So is that correct? Did I read that properly?
I don't know where you've seen that, because I don't know if I've
Mr.
seen
Stevenson,
that.
maybe.
This is related to the basis points that they're offering, and I will just explain it this way. At any one point, it's like if I go out to get a mortgage, at any one point, I could say that there's a better rate somewhere else, but at some point, a decision has to be made at some point.
Right.
And so, for instance, even now, the city has reassessed, and now we're in this January, the city's reassessed some of the fees that they're getting from their own Fifth Third bank account and have made the suggestion, hey, you can also save money as well. Well, this has been done midstream of the year. It wasn't done at the beginning of the budget year, so I could make the assumption, well, why wasn't this done back in June of last year? In other words, it's a fluid thing. So my answer to you is that we're always seeking the best. We want the best. But also we have, as you know, some upcoming, and we'll talk about it here, some upcoming things that we're going to be spending. So I'm confident that although there may have been dollars here and there that we may have gleaned or gained
Right.
in one investment or another, I'm very confident when we look at that it's 1 percentage point over that, yes, there was a policy violation according to the audit, but it's percentages and points, and you can all day. It's almost like a survey.
It's
you
a
can
moving
figure out
target from day to day based on long-term
absolutely.
rates and which rates you peg and that sort of stuff. And
So
I just want to bring that up because last meeting we had folks standing up here saying we're losing out on all these dollars.
we want to. We want to, and we agree with them that we always want to make as much as we can, and we like that they're trying to help us do that. My point here is that they're also even themselves changing bank accounts midstream
Correct.
because we're always reassessing and always looking at that.
And it's
So
very hard to make that statement when
it's very
you know,
difficult. And I also
100%
have to
certainty.
rely, remember, we rely on others because I'm not going to go out to the different banks. I could spend time, but that's a very difficult process. And so we trust and feel like that they are looking out for our best interest at this point, doing that. So, okay.
Thank you.
And that's all I have to report today.
Mr. Winstead, go ahead.
I just want to reiterate that because that was a strong statement and accusation that we were not managing the financial assets the way we should have been and were available to us. And I really want to highlight the point that those were not specific numbers. Even the calculations at any particular time that they brought up were less than 1%. I think it was like 0.65%, something like that, which is a moving target, which moves all the time. It's less of fees and the specific relationship you have with a banking institution, which was outlined in the follow-up emails. So I just want to put on record that the information that was provided to us in the accusation was not accurate and should be noted as such. And that we as an organization are interested and will follow through on whatever financial management is best for the system. And that this organization, speaking for myself, but I think the rest of us, resent the implications that were put forth in the last meeting, that somehow we were not seeking that out. And then I would like to also note that we were the ones that requested the audit so that we could do a better job of managing it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Winstead. All right, I think we're good. Thank you, Mary Ann.
Thank you.
Next, we have Danielle Jensen.
Good morning, Danielle Jensen, Director of Procurement and Food Service. As far as food service this month, I've completed 3 of the 4 on-site visits at our kitchens, which must be completed by January 30th. All 3 kitchens have done well, and I will be doing Krista next week. The state has selected Oasis Middle School to do their audit. They will be here on Wednesday, February 8th. They have already sent information to us as far as getting our dietary spec sheets to make sure we're in compliance with the menus, and they've requested copies of hundreds of applications that they will review ahead of time to make sure we're in compliance with our application process. They usually split the day between observing the kitchens and the lines to see how we handle the system and the process, and then they'll spend the rest of the day reviewing records in my office. We feel we are ready for this. It's not going to be a problem. And then as far as procurement, I will be reviewing the Chromebook purchase later in the meeting, so that's all I have for you guys today.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, next we have Krista McAuliffe Elementary. Ms. Collins.
Good morning, folks. Jackie Collins, Krista McAuliffe Elementary.
Oh, we have a few things going on. We're preparing for testing. It's coming up. First test is at the end of February for writing in 4th and 5th grade. And then starting in April through May, we have English language arts and math and science. So this is the part of the year where it's very stressful on teachers and students, because this is the final preparatory part of the year where you can prepare them and get them ready to go. We are going to the Kennedy Space Center tomorrow. We have 2 accelerated classrooms going. They're very excited. They're going to sleep under the shuttle and do a variety of other things. Being in a simulator is one of them that simulates something or other, blast off or a trip to Mars. This is a huge ordeal for these kids. They live for this. And so we have and also Mr. Brown is going to be attending. He's just as excited as the kids are. I'm sure you can imagine. Let's see. Our science fair is coming up on the 2nd of February. So once again, we have grades 3, 4, and 5 participating in the science fair. And you know me, I'm a big science proponent. I think it's very important that our students learn the scientific method. And it's also a learning period for the parents as well. We send a lot of good information home to these parents to let them know what is expected and how to perform a science experiment. And luckily, in this day and age, there's a lot of information out there on Google and other websites that can help walk them through it. So this is a big deal, and we have the Southwest Florida Scientist Society. 3 scientists come in that will help judge these, the finalists. So it's a big ordeal for us. So that's February 2nd at 6:30, from 6:30 to 7:30 if you'd like to attend. We also started our robotics club yesterday. We had Donors Choose funded the Dash and Dot, what are they called again? Dash and Dot, I believe, robotics, and it's a coding program for students. So we started it yesterday. We have 30 students. That's all we can handle. They're going to meet once a week for the 3rd quarter, grades 3, 4, and 5. And the 4th quarter, we're going to switch to grades K1 and 2, and they'll be doing the same thing. So this is early coding for elementary school students, which is a huge undertaking, and I'm very proud of the 2 teachers. Miss Moore is the one that did the request on Donors Choose, and Miss Abus, our science lab teacher, is assisting her. Let's see, the rally. I know there isn't anybody here to speak about the rally, but I did want to just review a couple things that we know so far. We're getting ready to kick off ticket sales. That's going to happen within the next week or so. We're not quite sure when. The rally committee is giving every school $1,500 so that we can buy prizes, because what we found is every week if we have a prize giveaway for our students who sell tickets, it encourages more ticket sales and, of course, brings in more revenue for the foundation and for the schools. So we've purchased, Krista McAuliffe has purchased items like a Kindle Fire, a karaoke machine, we've purchased motorized scooters, and we'd like to purchase drones as our giveaway prizes. And we have approximately 7 weeks in which to request ticket sales and raffle off these goodies for the students. So we're expecting a great year. But I also wanted to let you know that the rally committee has put together some great prizes for the parents that buy these $20 tickets. The first prize is a 7-night stay at a Marriott in St. Thomas. It includes airfare, excursions, and $1,000 in spending money. I think that's a great first prize. I'm going to buy some tickets. Second prize is a 4-night stay in Bimini, Bahamas, plus $500 spending money. And then we have 25 prizes in all, and they include Disney tickets for a family of 4, a 6-night stay in Key West, a 4-night motorhome rental, which I thought was kind of interesting, dinner packages, jewelry from Zach's, autographed Miami Dolphins stuff, autographed electric guitar, things like that. So they really did a great job putting these things together. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that Jen Hope Bella said all these prizes only cost us $1,500 to put together. So they did a great job. So we're hoping that this is a great rally year. And of course, the big event is on the 26th in March from 12 to 6. And we'll have Joe Nichols, who's going to be there, as well as a whole bunch of other activities. So should be a really great event this year. And I think that's all I have. Thank you. I think we have one question for you. Go ahead, Bob.
The parents' prize, is that a raffle for the tickets purchased, or how is that going to work?
That, yes, remember the orange tickets from last year? Those are the $20 orange tickets that
Right.
you can purchase between kickoff date, which is next week sometime, until the actual day of the event. And the winners are called on that at
So
6
it's just
o'clock
not,
that
it's
night.
not how many tickets somebody sells, it's just a raffle for the tickets that are purchased.
Yeah, so you can purchase one ticket and be eligible for any of those prizes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Next up is Oasis Elementary. Morning.
Hi, everybody. Donnie Hopper, principal at Oasis Elementary. Just a recap of some of the things going on at our fabulous school. We just received through Miss Altini, one of our fourth grade teachers, an amazing grant from Wowzer. You might want to look it up. It's a $10,000 grant that allows our kids to have access and teachers access to an online math program. It's a supplemental program. Actually, could be used as a full curriculum, but we will use it as a supplementary aid for our students in K through fifth grade, all students. And really good. It's individualized, so teachers can create different tracks for certain kids that might need remediation, those that might be on grade level, and of course those that need enrichment. It's definitely aligned to our standards, so we're really proud of the work she did to submit that. I think she submitted it on a Monday. I think she knew by Wednesday that she had received it. So really quick turnaround, and our teachers are jumping into it as we speak. So congratulations to her, and it benefits all of our kids. A Wowzer, W-O-W-Z-E-R, I believe. We also received 2 Chromebooks. I know it doesn't sound like many, but for our teachers who were just starting out with Donors Choose, there were instances where they could only list so many items, and this one actually was Miss Altini, who was only able to get 2 posted, but those 2 were funded completely, and she received those over the winter break as well. So you'll hear some more information about where we're going with Chromebooks and some of the things we'd like to do in order to get more into the school. Do know that we've tried through different avenues to get those, and Donors Choose was one of those. We just didn't have quite the success with that we thought we would. But getting any in is an addition where we don't have to pay for those. So we really appreciate when parents donate. Sometimes it's people we don't even know donating to our school and to help our kids. And when we know who it is, we definitely send them a thank you package. But through Donors Choose, the people who donate get a thank you package even if they don't know us. So they get a picture of the class, so the students using the devices, things like that. So it's a really good thing and a good way to give back to those that participate and help us out. This weekend, thank you for approving the field trip that I got to you extremely late, meaning they go tomorrow. So we appreciate you approving that. That is completely my fault. I didn't want Shannon to take the hit for that like she was sitting on some documents that I gave her. That was me. Got to get used to our processes here. And that was one that we didn't do quite the same in the district. So I will do better at that. But they are going to Atlanta, our junior theater group, for a huge festival that they participated in last year. Really cool that all of our kids are going. There's over 20. Every student has a parent going with them. So that really makes a big difference. It makes me feel more comfortable too when we send kids to an overnight trip, 2 nights away, and they're flying. When that happens, that's like a little stressful as the principal, but knowing that their parents are going and 3 teachers from our school makes it a little bit, I can rest a little easier. So we wish them luck this weekend in Atlanta. We had a PTO meeting last night. We love when parents come out to hear the things we're doing and the direction we're going with the money we collect through fundraisers, and there was a great turnout last night at our PTO meeting. Let's see. We talked about the rally a little bit. Jackie did. Ticket sales will start soon. We also are doing the incentives much like they shared up at Krista. Of course, we'll have just slightly better prizes than... I appreciate you sharing what you're doing. I was quickly writing out. So we'll have Beats headphones that'll be available. I think we need to have an Amazon Echo Dot. You know, Alexa is the newest thing, so don't be writing this stuff down. We'll do a Chromebook, right? That fits. We need to get a Chromebook in there. So lots of cool prizes for those kids who and parents who participate and buy raffle tickets for the rally. For next year, we are full in kindergarten. I think I mentioned that for the 17-18 school year, which is great news. And every week I'm giving tours because there are still people who want to come in, and they are willing to get on our waiting list to be a part of what we're doing. So we appreciate all those that come out to check us out and to see what we have to offer. Let's see, an event coming up, PTO Family Movie Night. We'll be doing a movie behind the school with a big projector and screen on Friday, January 27th. So we hope that lots of parents will come out and kids and join us for that. And also, I agree, it's definitely a time when teachers feel a little more pressure to ensure that the standards are being mastered by the kids. They feel that test date coming. My message to them is just continue to do the fabulous things you've done up to this point. Continue to teach. Continue to engage students. The test day is just another day. I don't talk about it at all, and encourage teachers to not talk about it. Parents will do enough talking about it and stressing kids out. We don't need to contribute to that. So just do what you do, and when that date comes, we'll tell you. We'll give you a time frame to take the test, and off we go. And thankfully this year, I think it's a really good thing, and again, you'll hear more, we will have the right devices in place to ensure our kids have the best equipment in front of them when they take the FSA and the FCAT. So that's good news. That's it for me. Anything?
Thank you very much. I just want to, I'm repeating myself here, but that Donors Choose website is great. I want to make sure what we're doing is letting parents know when we're starting a new campaign, because there are those opportunities for matching dollars.
Yes.
So when a parent donates, it's doubled or tripled depending on who's doing the matching. So
yeah, we definitely get the word out. It's a great reminder to do that. And also, towards the end of this year, and I think maybe Ms. Treese benefited the most in terms of our schools, but Google was matching virtually anything out there that mentioned one-to-one devices, that mentioned Google Chrome. There were some keywords that needed to be in there, and I think she picked up on that. We did too. We just didn't have enough people in, and I think we both get a little frustrated when had many people been in, many teachers, we might have gotten a few more devices, but you have to look for those opportunities. You don't necessarily know that they're going to come up. I think end of year was a good time when the companies were trying to get that last push for donating money, and some of us caught a little bit of that. But definitely communication, getting the word out is extremely important. So good reminder.
Mr. Winstead?
Yes, this is to you, but it's also Mr. Stevenson. Just as a thought, because there's a lot of corporations that have different kinds of plans like that, I wonder, is there a coordinated place that we can find these? Do we have anybody within the system currently, or maybe we could have, actually look for these? Because it sounds like a lot of times they're great and we find them individually, some just by chance, I guess. It would be nice for us to have a concerted effort to, lock these down, find out what is available, and then take advantage of it.
You were mentioning the grants?
Yeah,
that come
grants
about.
like that.
We actually do, and we communicate. I think Mr. Stevenson has sent some emails to us. Oftentimes, the leader in an organization will get the emails of opportunities. He has forwarded those opportunities to us, not just for grants, but also for professional development, things that we can take advantage of for ourselves and for our teachers. Now, if you're talking bigger scale, obviously there's a grant writing department in many districts. That would be the people who not only look for those opportunities, but in some cases actually take on the charge of writing the grants. And they can be extensive and take hours and hours of resources to do. I think that's what we're up against as well for some of the larger opportunities. I just received one yesterday actually from the FETC that we're going to, a $30,000 classroom makeover. It require lots of information to get through, one that I probably can't take care of, but if we had a team or even a person.
We've talked about that before, and I do think that's something that we need to continue to bring forward probably up this year, and looking at that either from a standpoint of, I know that there's contract grant writers, and then there's people that we could use as a staff. What would be the best approach, to handle that? Obviously, someone experienced in that field would be the best approach, and not put additional burdens on the principals to try to become
Thanks
grant
for that.
writers. We've got more important things for you guys to do, and we appreciate that. But I like the fact that we are being able to take advantage of some of these things, and over the next year, I'd love to see that continue to develop.
And you always have those teachers that just take that extra step, that extra initiative to do some of those things, even though they know it takes some of their winter break or some hours after school. But like you said with us, it's hard to require that. We encourage them and love it when they take those advantages.
Mr. Stevenson, did you want to comment, or was it all covered?
Yeah, I just wanted to tell you that this budget cycle will have some solutions for this situation, whatever that ultimately may be. We've got several in the idea box, if you will, and so we're going to come up with that because that has been an ongoing and it needs to be addressed, so it will be.
Mr. Zivkovic?
On that, we talked back in September, October, before we've been sidetracked by some of the silliness. Our webpage for fundraising, where does that stand?
We actually have a webpage for fundraising. It's created, it's done. It is in a conversation that I just had with one of our booster members. The mindset that I have is that rather than jump to when you don't have a complete product, is that we really need to have more than, right now our fundraising really is most cases, hey, we need something, whatever it might be, and we don't usually typically, and I'm saying me and everybody doesn't do a good job of saying exactly what we need. So A, it's coming together and figuring out exactly what our needs are and doing that, and then B, we offer on fences, for instance, we have people that will buy spots on fencing. But we need a better package. We need to say what are the things that we're doing. We met, two individuals came, or one or two individuals came at our last principals meeting to discuss some opportunities with like a card system to earn money, things like that. So our issue, as is everything, is the coordination of getting that done. Who takes the mantle and does it? And right now, we've had a myriad, and I mean, sounds like excuses, and it really, quite frankly, is. It's a matter of who takes the charge and does it and gets it done.
I thought we had some progress on this. We moved Penny Faulkner to your office, and she was working on the website, and this was a page that we had, and that was
she has it done. But the other issue I've got, I'll just give you, tell you the way it is. One of the issues I've got is that we have sports boosters now. We don't have an arts boosters program. So we have often, and my job, so that you all get this, is there's a political ramification of things. If we put right now on an online site, here's the athletic boosters, here's all the other things, and we don't have an arts boosters program, there's some political ramifications because it may look like we don't care about the arts program, which would clearly not be the case.
Well, let me get you off the hook of the political ramifications. In my opinion, as a board member, I don't think we should punish all students because we don't have one section done. If we have an opportunity to raise funds for the athletics, because they're set up and organized right now, I don't think we should put that on hold indefinitely till we get everything perfect. There's not going to be a day where it's a perfect solution.
I absolutely agree, but here's the deal. They're not even set up. Part of the issue is we have to figure out what's the pack. What are we going to ask people for? What is the, like in other words, are we going to say, we want football wants X, and so what we need to do is basically have each of those athletic organizations come through and say, this is our wish list, this is what we need. We need to do that for our teachers. We need to have a meeting with teachers to say what are the needs that they have. We need to have it with administration. We need to have it with facilities. I've had an idea since I got there about an electronic sign. As you come in, look, our traffic that comes through that, it's about a $10,000 expense, but you have traffic that's captured. I mean, I don't know the numbers that go through every day, but so I'm with you. I think we're all on the same page. It's just a matter of personnel and doing the job. So that goes to, if we're not spending time doing some of the other things that we've been focused on doing, I'm telling you that can be done. Penny has it done. I mean, Penny Faulkner has the website done, the link. The other issue we've got to do is get also with the city, because it becomes an issue of when you do a GoFundMe or a Donors Choose, it becomes problematic because that's not typically something that the city does. So now we have to figure out where do those monies get applied and who gets the monies, because now is it a personal account, a bank account that I have? Do we open a separate account and get those money transferred? And all this may sound like an excuse. I'm not trying to make one. I mean, I agree with you that it should be done back in August. It should be done now.
So what progress have we made since August? Because we've had these conversations. It's sort of like a.
Right. I mean, the same conversation that we just had the other day, right before the break with the principals, it's the same thing. We bring out a great idea. We have this great idea. it's expressed to the principals, and everybody says it's an absolute great idea, and then everybody sits around and says, oh my gosh, who's going to do this? And so that's our issue.
But
So-
we have an athletic director, right? I mean,
Right.
so the athletic director could take care of the sports side. Isn't that fair to say?
For the high school only?
He
We have
he
one for
could in
middle school, too.
context, but it's bigger than just saying, again, I think we need a package of saying,